All right, everyone, let's go ahead and do this. This is Chapter 9 homework number 1. First one for Chapter 9. All right, so number 7, 9-7 is we're going to solve each of the following inequalities for the given variable. We represent your solutions on a number line. All right, so first we're going to have to solve it. So first we're going to go ahead and distribute this 2 to there and to there. All right. Before we do that, let me just lock this in place. Okay, so that's going to give me 6p. 2 times 3p is 6p, plus and 2 times 1 is 2. That's going to be greater than -4. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and put the numbers together. So the positive 2 goes with the -4, so we're going to do the opposite inverse operation, which is -2 and -2. That's going to allow us to cancel the positive 2 and -2, and I'm going to go ahead and copy down the 6p greater than. Now all we have to do is figure out what -2 and -4 together added makes a -6. And now we're just going to wrap it up and divide both sides by 6 to get rid of that 6. We finally have p greater than, and then you got to figure this out. -6 divided by 6 is -1. Right? So our answer is p is greater than -1. So typically this is what I do. Okay, -1 is the boundary point. So I'm going to go ahead and put a mark on somewhere here, label it -1. Okay, put a circle around it. If it's not underlined, like how I'm drawing right now, if it's not underlined, you're going to leave the circle or the dot open, and then you're going to go ahead and shade in the direction of everything that's bigger than -1 or that is greater than -1. So I am going to shade in this direction. Okay, if your variable is on the left hand side, you can also follow this arrow, semi-arrow. See that right there? See what I'm drawing? It makes an arrow and it says to shade to the right. Okay, so that's number 7a. Let's go ahead and do b. You know what? This one looks like it's set up. We're just gonna go ahead and put stuff together. Like, go ahead and add 2 to the numbers. And I'm gonna do this in 2 moves at once, right? So I'm also gonna subtract 3k and subtract 3k. What that's going to do is it's going to get rid of the -2, but it's also going to get rid of the 3k. Excuse me. So I'm going to have 9k minus 3k is 6k. That's going to be less than 10 plus 2 is 12. Right, keep working on that. Divided by 6. Right, and the k's are going to, the 6's are going to cancel. And we get k is less than 2. Right, so again, I'm going to draw my number line. And again, the boundary point is 2, so I'm going to go ahead and just put a 2, anywhere I want. You can put it in the middle if you want, like this. You're going to go ahead and put a dot around it. And there's no underline, and it says less than 2. And again, if you know what's less than 2, you can shade in that direction, which is to the left. Or you can follow the arrow. Okay. C, we're going to go ahead and, this time around, I'm going to go ahead and add h, right? Actually, no, I'm going to go ahead and subtract 5. You can do it a couple different ways, but I'm going to subtract 5, which will allow us to get rid of the 5's, and we will be left with -h greater than or equal to, and 4 minus 5 is -1. Right? Now I'm going to go ahead and do one more thing. I'm going to go ahead and I want h by itself, so I got to get rid of the negative, which is basically -1. So I'm going to divide by -1, which will cancel, not the h, cancel the negative and cancel the -1. All I will be left with h, and -1 divided by -1 is +1. And the thing is, when you divide by negative or multiply by negative, you got to switch the inequality. So instead of greater than or equal to, it's going to be less than or equal to. So my answer is going to be h is less than or equal to 1. So I'm going to go ahead and put 1 right here. That's a 1. And then I'm going to go ahead and put a circle around it. This one has underline, so I'm going to shade it in, and it's going to be everything to the left of 1. So I'm going to shade in this direction. Okay. Okay, number 8. Identify the mathematical sentence below as always true, sometimes true, or never true. Right? So is -4 less than or equal to 9? This one is always true. Okay. It's x is less than 1, right? And this one's going to be sometimes true. Okay, because if it's x is 0, then it's true. X is 2, then it's false. So it's sometimes. Okay. -5 is greater than -2, which is false. Okay, so this is never true. This right here, is that equal to 2, right? Well, for x's, this is only sometimes, right? Because when would it be true? Like when x is 0, you put 0 in here. 3 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 5 is 5, and 5 is not equal to 2. So that's not true. But it is sometimes true. Okay, and it's actually only true for one instance. If you solve it, it will be true for only one time, and it'll be false for a billion other times, infinitely other times. So this one, you subtract 5 and divide by 3, then you would get x equals, let's see, subtract 5, you get -3, divide by 3, you get 1, -1. So x will equal -1. So this one is only true when x is -1. Right, so this one is going to be sometimes. Okay. Is 61 equal to 61? Yep, this is always. And is -6 less than -6? That is never. Okay. Okay, backside, and I believe this is the last one. Let me lock that in place first. Solve a system of equations below. Okay, this is from last chapter, a couple chapters ago. First, 9A. This looks like a substitution method, meaning instead of y, I can put in x plus 10 in place of the y. So my top equation, I'm going to go ahead and copy it down right here. So I'm going to write down 2x plus, and instead of y, I'm going to write down x plus 10. That's what it says. And then I'm going to finish it off by doing equals -7y. Oh, and then again, instead of y, see, I almost left that alone, but instead of y, I can write down x plus 10. Let's move this a little bit over. Give myself a little space. Okay, so work this out. We get 2x plus x plus 10. We just remove the parentheses. This right here, I'm going to go ahead and distribute -7 times x and -7 times +10. So I will get -7x and -7d. Okay, so I'll put everything together. For example, this 2x combined with this x right here, that's going to make 3x's. Plus 10 equals -7x minus 70. Right? I think we're going to move the x over. There's -7x over, so I'm going to do the positive and positive. And that will get rid of this. And that will give us 10x plus 10 equals -70. And then I'm going to think we're going to go ahead and take away 10 to get rid of that. So we will have, so that's going to go away. We have 10x equals -80. We're going to go ahead and get rid of that 10 by dividing by 10. So we get x equals And negative 80 divided by 10 is negative 8. That's your final answer. Okay. Now, once we get x is negative 8, we're going to go ahead and put that in place of the x right there. That x, negative 8. So y is equal to negative 8 plus 10. Right? And negative 8 plus 10 would be negative 2. Actually, positive 2. So what we get there is y equals positive 2. So your answer, negative 8, positive 2. Okay. B. I don't know about B. This one looks pretty difficult. You can do it a couple of different ways. I think I'm going to go ahead and move the top equation. I'm going to rewrite that top equation down. And I'm going to move that negative 5 to the other side by adding 5y. So adding 5y. Okay. It doesn't add together the 3x, but they're both on the same side. So by doing that, I would get 3x adding 5y, and they can't be put together. And left over on the right-hand side, it's going to all disappear. That's going to equal 0. The bottom equation, you're going to go ahead and copy that down again as well. That's 6x minus 7y equals 17. Okay, and you look at both of these. The y's are going to be kind of hard to put together, but the x's, if you multiply the top equation by negative 2, you would get opposite x's. So by doing that, okay, the top equation is now, I'm going to rewrite this now, negative 6x. And negative 2 times 5y is negative 10y. And negative 2 times 0 is still 0. Bottom equation, I'm going to leave it alone. So it's 6x minus 7y equals 17. And now I can go ahead and add these. And you can see that this x's cancel. The y's make negative 17y. And 0 plus 17 is 17. This comes out perfect. Because when I divide by negative 17 cancel, and I get 17 divided by negative 17. That gives me an answer of y equals negative 1. Okay? And that's kind of partially my answer. So here's x and y, and so far I got y equals negative 1. Now, how do I find the x? Well, you can go back to your original equations. Okay, so I think the top one's probably easier. So I'm going to go ahead and use the top one. Okay, I'm going to write it down here. 3x equals negative 5, and then the y is negative 1. So I'm copying this equation down. So 3x equals negative 5, and then instead of y, I'm going to write down negative 1. So I get 3x equals, and then you got to figure out negative 5 times negative 1 is 5. And then you're going to go ahead and get rid of that 3 by dividing by 3. That should cancel. And we get x equals 5 over 3. So that's your